are you today? Welcome to my art gallery and law office. As you can see, this is a very serious law office. It has both the words law and office on it. First of all, I would like to show you one of my pieces. This is a large pepperoni pizza using foam and acrylic paint, and this is kitty litter. This texture is caused by kitty litter, and I made this big, huge pizza sitting on a table. And as you see, it's got a lot of orange in it. And if you look at a pizza carefully, you'll see a lot of orange because that's the grease of the pizza. So we wanted to be realistic. No fantasizing about pizza and what it is. Pizza is what it is, especially pepperoni pizza. And next we have, just as one of my examples, this is a painting I did of Lady Gaga. And so this is a pop art piece, more like an adoration fan piece. I do like Lady Gaga, however, I don't know if I like her this much. However, I wanted to make this nice painting for her, about her, and it features a lot of glitter and various colors that I got this poster out of. So that's my lady. And here at the entrance of my gallery / office, I've put down this tile where I have used acrylic paint to create this sort of sunburst rainbow flower pattern that comes out from the entryway. It's very, very colorful. It uses many of my action art techniques. I seldom use any brush strokes in any of my work. I rather use a variety of techniques. Some of them you might have seen that Jackson Pollock uses. However, I've done a lot more study in the area of effects of paint, dilution, throwing paint, splattering paint, spraying paint, dripping paint with different viscosities at different angles, at different velocities. And through this process, I've been able to create a whole bunch of different effects by all these different processes that mimic, in many ways, regular painting. However, I seldom, like I mentioned, I seldom use any brush strokes in any of my work, sometimes for touch-up. But the rest of it's all, I like to call it action art, because a lot of times the paintings are on the floor, and I'm walking around it, doing the work. And I'm also pouring and squeezing bottles and throwing and doing a wide variety of techniques. And here, for example, we just have one of my various works that'll be at the show, and it's a flower, and I use glitter sometimes in some of my works. A lot of people don't like to use glitter, but I think if you use it judiciously, it can add some oomph to your paintings. Here's one of my paintings, this is what I like to call almost a pure throwing paint at a certain viscosity. To get this effect like this, you have to put the paint at a certain viscosity, and then you have to throw it from a certain distance at a certain force. If you throw it hard, and it's laying on the floor, and if you throw it really hard, you get this nice pattern. And if it's nice and viscous, then you get this nice flowing pattern to a lot of the colors. And then, of course, you just choose the colors like any artist would, putting what color you think should be next to another color, what colors work together, and creating a nice pattern that's appealing to the eye. Now, here is my latest work, and this is SpongeBob SquarePants. And the purpose of this particular piece is that SpongeBob is in peril. He's got a large octopus coming for him. He's got some sort of fish with big teeth, and his tongue is already wrapped around his arm. Lightning is about to strike him. He's in an ocean. It's dark out, yet SpongeBob is very, very happy and content. And the art show that I'm having in a couple days is called Mr. Kallinen's Neighborhood, a Psychological Utopia. Because utopia exists primarily in the mind. You could live in an island paradise from the outside, but unless you fix your mind and make your mind calm to various practices, and you will not be living in a utopia, even though it appears from the outside that you're in utopia. So the utopia exists in your mind. Now, I would like to say about this particular piece, while people are looking at it and saying that, oh, well, I know what's going to happen to SpongeBob. He's not going to make it. However, if you look in this painting, you see the lightning is splitting. Well, what's going to happen in the next few seconds, or the next instant, is this lightning bolt will not hit SpongeBob, but it'll split into and hit the octopus and the fish, killing them, and thereby simultaneously illuminating SpongeBob. And right over here is a ship. When the lightning strikes, SpongeBob will be illuminated and he will be rescued. But even if he was not rescued and he did perish, should he be frightened on the way out? Or can he live his last moment with a good attitude? And the answer is, of course. People can live every moment of their lives with a good attitude. They do not have to suffer even when they are in peril. Now, here we have some of my work in foam. For instance, this here is going to be a hat. All I have to do is take this out right here. And as a matter of fact, let me model for you a similar hat here, which I used in my show called Cornucopia Incorporated, which was all about food. So this is the hat I wore with another different kind of suit. This particular suit I wore for one of my earlier shows. And so this is the hat, as you can see. Some people think these are raisins. And I think that's probably the closest thing, raisins. But this particular hat here is for Catherine Anspon, who is the editor of Paper City. And so she likes my works and has already bought one, and she wanted one of these hats. So when she comes to the show in a few days, this will be the hat that she buys, the sweet roll hat. And you can wear your food without eating it. So. And also, I just wanted to point out the pedestal work I've been doing. I started to use foam to make pedestals, and these, I take tiles and put them on the top and the bottom, and then use wire, rigid wire, and I foam it, and I make different patterns and so forth to make pedestals, and it makes a very, very nice effect. And every artist, every person who does sculpture can do this. That way he can make his own pedestals, and they can be a work of art in themselves. This is my favorite one, of course, because it involves many colors. It's kind of organic. And it also shows you're able to see how I did it with the unpainted tile and the wire and then the foam. So this piece can just basically shows you what these are made out of, where the other ones you don't know what's underneath them. Now this is not my piece. This is my friend Solomon Kane, and this is the God of your understanding. Because in the utopia, you can worship God if you want to. Also, you can worship any kind of God. So this particular God has all kinds of different attributes. If you were to look closely, there's all kinds of different attributes to this God. But in Utopia, you can choose whether or not to worship God or not. And then this God here, we made it so that it has very many facets to it. And here's just one of my heart pieces. And if you notice, I use all the colors of the different, well, in old times, I always used to say, used to have different colors for people. You know, black people, white people, red people. Asians were often referred to as yellow. And as you see here, and then the red was like for the American Indians. And I don't know why they did that. It's kind of crazy. But anyway, this is a mixture of all those different colors and no other colors, if you notice. So this is the heart, and so this is all the different people and their heart, all the different races. Because, you know, Asian is oftentimes yellow. There's white for Caucasians, red for Native Americans or members of the tribal nation, as they are now referred, African Americans, often referred to as black. And then there's also brown in here that often represents, for instance, Hispanics and others. But they're all melded together in that heart. And this here is a piece that I did in the middle of the drought we had in the summer of 2011, after Houston had been like for some record length of days without water. And as you see, we've got the big sun, and although there's a cloud in the sky and a big drop of rain, before it even hits the ground, it's evaporated. So We didn't have much rain for such a long time. And by the way, after I painted this, it started raining, so I don't know what that says, but you know. I like to do large works. So this one is 15 feet tall, and this is using a spray method out of a bottle, and it mimics like a fountain. If you were to look at a fountain, generally at the bottom the spray is more coherent, and then at the top it kind of breaks up into droplets and so forth. And I just wanted to show you this piece right here that I'm going to show over here. And here we have a particular piece of work, and this is Jesus at the temple. And in the Bible, there's this story about how Jesus threw the money changers from the temple, but I have them labeled like with the big banks, like Chase Bank and Bank of America, and so Jesus is chasing out the big banks out of the temple, and also the investment houses, which caused the recent economic bailout and almost caused the recession. And so this is sort of like a political religious piece. Well, this one right here, by the way, is a homage to Cy Twombly. And Cy Twombly has a museum over there by the Manil, little museum, and he in some of his work he likes to use these natural swirls, and I do use a lot of that in my art. My idea is that if you are using gravity and viscosity, all these forms appear in nature because gravity affects everything we have. So these are familiar forms to people. So if you use gravity in your work to make the forms, while they should be appealing to the eye, and based upon the feedback and my own experience, it is appealing to the eye. So that's why I use a lot of gravity and so forth. But Cy Twombly also did these hand swirls, and his was black and white, but I wanted to add some more color to it. So I call this Pretty Cy. No insult to Cy Twombly, but some of his work was a little, you know, black and white. But this added some color to it to make it pretty. And here's just some experimentation with pouring. Here's an interesting action art technique. You take different paints, different colored paints, and you pour them individually in a can, and without mixing them up, you pour them, and then you get these different colors right next to each other. And of course, if you use the primary colors, red and blue make purple, yellow and red make green, and what am I missing? Red and yellow and red make orange. So if you mix the colors at the intersections, they turn colors, and it's just an interesting play on that. And also with throwing paint, this is more technique of throwing paint. It creates these kind of stringy things that look pretty cool. So this is just an experimentation I did with mixing colors together. Now, here's one of my more popular pieces. This is the pizza table, and this also is another pizza table, but this pizza table here was on display at the Cornucopia show, and it involves creating a pizza on a table. And this particular piece was very well received, and I like it a lot. It looks like a pizza. And over here we have a piece of furniture I did, which I just took, and these are bookends I made out of foam, and then I just splatter painted it, and there's some more work over there. And here's one where I used with foam and glitter, and it has a lot of texture to it, and I just wanted to see what it would be like to create a really rough surface with foam, and then paint it, and it turned out, I like it a lot. It has a depth to it. I use a lot of foam in my work often. Foam is often criticized. Very few people use it. However, it is a very versatile medium, and I found to use it for a whole bunch of different variety of things, sculptures, in paintings, just a wide variety of different things. Another thing I like to do is I like to, I paint just about everything. As you see, I have this suit. I have 4 different suits. I make one for each show. So this shows you can paint clothes, which includes, you know, your shoes. If you notice, even the socks are painted. I have a tie that goes with this, but I wanted to be a little informal, so I didn't wear the tie, and so forth. So, but anyway, here, let me just show you also that here's some tiles I did on the floor. Excuse the mess. I'm preparing for this show that's coming up in 3 days, and so everything is awry until showtime. And if you go through here, here's where I've painted the floor. And I also paint doors. And things are in a state of repair for the show. However, we have here, this is the women's bathroom door, as you see, with the symbol, Greek, I think it's Greek symbol for females, and then the male section for, kind of dark in here, but maybe there we have a little light. But here also, I'm just in the middle of, this morning I finished up my floor here. If you come in here, you see this is the golden floor, and I just finished it up this morning. Because what part of your house should not be art is what I want to know. Which part is saying that cannot be art? Well, the answer is no part of your house cannot be art. What item in your house cannot be art? What you cannot say, well, this cannot be art, this must stay the same. Well, the answer to that, I have yet to find someone to tell me something, just one thing, give me one thing that cannot be art, and I will show them that that also can be art. So here we got the bathroom floor. It's all golden, and as you see here, I'm in the midst of, just got a little more to do over here. This took a lot of work, as you can see, but it's very shiny. People like shiny. Just remember that when you're an artist. People like shiny. And here's the women's, I got some repairs to do there, but the floor, and I got a painting and so forth. So anyway, I wish it was, they'll all be all polished, spit and polished by showtime. Well, since we're here in this neck of the woods, I'm going to take us upstairs, and here I have some paintings which are, since I'm going upstairs, I'm going to take this painting with me. I think we can do it here. This is my bedroom. I live here as well as work here and have my art studio here. It's all in one. And everybody should do that, because then you don't have to get out onto the Houston highways if you don't want to. And I'm just going to put up this one little painting. Put it right here. And then, whoops. You got to be careful with your art. Luckily, that's not my piece. Oh, I'm just kidding. You always got to be good with the art. That piece is very resilient, so it should be good. So that's where that piece goes. And I'm going to set this right here for right now. Oh, it looks like there's a piece. Let me turn on the light here. And let me just, need to turn down the heat just a little bit. Let me, give me a little room. A rope. There. But eventually, when I was younger, in my 20s, I went to these people's apartments on this job I had, and they had just about every single corner full of art, and that impression has stuck with me, and that's why I say to myself, what area, where can you not have art? Well, the answer is everywhere. Now, here is a rug I painted. This is the rug I painted. I'm going to have to go over there and fix and straighten out this foam painting. This is my first use of foam in a painting was this particular painting here. And so as we see, there, perfect. You can use foam for many abstract. This is a strange planet. This is the foliage on a strange planet. I also do shoes, by the way. I have painted many, many shoes. These are some of my people's favorites. This one right here. You can see we got paint on the sides. And you can put on different colored shoelaces or keep the shoelaces the same or paint shoelaces. So those are the different variety of things. And here we have an ice cream cone with a cherry on top. And I know this does look good enough to eat, but don't eat it. If this makes you hungry, I would advise that you go eat a salad. Do not eat ice cream. Because flour and sugar ain't that great. In the Utopia, by the way, we encourage eating correctly and eating for your health, because if you can change your eating habits, you can change your whole psychology. Eating and psychology are closely related. And here's a painted bedspread. I painted this bedspread. And you can just see I painted my bed. And okay, then here I painted doors. So in this bedroom alone, I've painted all the doors, I painted the rug, I painted the bedspread, and I'm still painting my shoes. And over here we have some of my other suits I have hanging for the show. This is going to be on display at the show on the mannequins. I'll just give you the jacket so you can see the basic theme. Here was one of my suits for that one particular show. And here is for another show I did called Cornucopia Incorporated. And as you see, we have the name of the show, Cornucopia Incorporated, painted on the back with a cherry. This is a cherry, which is food, by the way. Cherries are good for you. And the last one, this was around Christmas time. And as you see, we have a nice suit there and shirt. You got to paint everything. You don't stop with the jacket or the pants. You got to do the shirt, you got to do the belt, and you got to do the socks. You got to do it all. And so that's it. Now, one of the things about my particular place that people like so much is I have these French doors, and you're able to look at the gallery through these French doors. And it's this building, by the way, was built in 1941 as a dress shop, and it didn't have this wide open space. That was changed by an architect who lived here about 10, 12 years ago, and he opened up and exposed the ceiling and exposed that beautiful wood arch ceiling, which a long time ago, wood was not considered pretty. It was the cheapest thing around, but nowadays, of course, wood is considered prime materials, and so that arch ceiling there is quite something, and I really, really like it. This area of town, by the way, is the oldest settled part of Houston. It used to be the town of Harrisburg, which was annexed by the city of Houston in 1926. And Harrisburg was a former capital of Texas. And Santa Anna came here and burned down the town of Harrisburg on his way to be defeated at the Battle of San Jacinto. So we're sitting on a very historic area of town, the old town of Harrisburg. And it's very likely that Santa Anna, on his horse, rode right through here because he burnt down the town of Harrisburg, as I mentioned. And then he moseyed on over to that place called San Jacinto, where Texas was finally born. So there we go. Lots of history in this neck of the woods over here. And also, we're right next to the ship channel. If you could look out the windows, I got paintings over them right now for this art show, but you can see the water, and Brady's Landing is right there, which is an actual island. A lot of people don't know that right in the inner loop of Houston is a 4-block long island called Brady's Island, because Buffalo Bayou, i.e. the ship channel, splits and comes back. And that's why you have an island. So, and there's some businesses on the island, a restaurant, but few people even know that there's a habitable island in the inner loop of Houston, and it's right outside my back door. Also outside my back door was the very first train depot in all of Texas. There was a railway line here, and it was the very first train depot in all of Texas. Now here we have a house, or excuse me, a skyscraper as paintings. This is in a series of works that I've done where I take my paintings, which are, the majority of them are 5 feet by 6 feet. Now Philip Johnson had an idea, Philip Johnson, noted architect, who has many skyscrapers here in the Houston area, Transco Tower, Republic Bank Building, the Architectural Building at University of Houston, and many other pieces. Philip Johnson had this idea as house as sculpture, where he rejected the idea of angles and forms and made a house out of sculpture. Well, this idea here is buildings or structures as paintings. So these are all individual paintings that we put in together to be a skyscraper. And if you notice the stepped 3 design, well, this is mimicking the Republic Bank Building downtown, the brown building, if you recall, in downtown Houston, which Philip Johnson made. So this is sort of like a homage to Philip Johnson and his work, and this is called Skyscraper as Paintings. And it's 19 feet tall and 18 feet long and 6 feet wide. And here we have one of my paintings, and what I've done in furtherance of using the foam is I've created a frame out of foam. This is actual foam. I put a chicken wire behind it and created this frame. And what's unique about that is that unlike conventional frames where the wood is all the same pattern all the way down, you could make asymmetrical patterns with this foam. And a lot of artists, the framing requires a lot of different equipment and so forth, but an artist can use the foam technique using spray paints or paints and make all kinds of different designs and colors, very versatile. So this is a great idea because to frame your work, which most artists can do, so I really encourage people to look into this, framing with foam. And here we have a sculpture out of foam. This is a religious leader's hat. I don't know what religion it is. However, this is an upside down T, and this denotes no taxes because religions aren't taxed. So this idea is tongue-in-cheek that this religion worships the idea that it does not have to pay taxes. So just right there, the upside down T, no taxes. And I just wanted to show you a couple more items. Here's a landscape I did, which I sold recently to a buyer. They gave me a picture. But this is an example of my action art, because although this piece might look like I used a brush stroke somewhere, I have used no brush strokes in this entire painting, as it were. I used several techniques. I used one technique that I developed here, another technique here, another technique here, another technique to make these what appear to be trunks, another technique for these little lines here, another technique for this particular color, and then these grapes are the 6th technique. So there are 6 different action art techniques and not a single brush stroke in this whole landscape of a grape vineyard. And here's a chair I did. This is a chair with acrylic paint. Turned out really well. And in here is one of my rooms. And in the Utopia, of course, like I mentioned, things that can be art. Well, this is your vacuum cleaner. Your vacuum cleaner can be art, so that if you have to vacuum clean, why, you will be doing it with a beautiful, colorful vacuum cleaner. And over here we have a TV. I've painted the TV because why not paint your TV? Most TVs are gray or black or extremely dull, not colored at all. Why not paint your TV? And I've watched the TV, and the colors aren't distracting. They do not distract you from watching your television programs, like I thought at first, once you try it. But then when you're not using your TV, you go, oh, look, my TV is very colorful. So this is one of the ideas, what can't you paint? You can paint your TV. You can paint your vacuum cleaner. And here we have a piece that I did recently to the recently departed artist Bert L. Long, Jr. He was an acquaintance of mine, and he taught me many things in our visits together, and I used some of his ideas in my art career, and I'm very grateful to Bert Long, who passed away just barely a month ago. And I really respected him, and he was a great artist, and he helped me a lot. And so I did this piece here that illustrates some of his work. I've been making art now for approximately 4 years.
And you have this beautiful gallery space. Who would you say are your influences?
Well, some of my early influences are Jackson Pollock, and basically beyond Jackson Pollock, who was the innovator of what some people like to call the splatter technique, I don't really have any other influences. I've studied Kandinsky, Klimt, Klee, Rothko, and they're wonderful artists. However, as far as doing my work, I would say it started with Jackson Pollock, and now it's pretty much just what I've come up with.
Do you consider your art political in any sense?
Some of it is political. A lot of it is designed to explore color and to be, cheerful, to make people feel good and to explore different techniques. There are some of my works which are political, and also a lot of it is psychological, and that is trying to show people how, through improving your psychology, you can improve your life. The art show that I have coming up in a couple days, which you just saw here, is called Mr. Kallinen's Neighborhood, a Psychological Utopia, because utopia exists mainly, I would like to say 100%, in your mind. If you don't have your mind correct, then of course you're not going to be living in a utopia, even if you have all the money in the world and all the friends in the world on a desert, on a tropical island. You won't have a utopia unless you practice certain psychological techniques. And these techniques, of course, are evident in many different types of practices. In most religions, many people practice some type of psychological improvement. So I believe that through psychological improvement, good health, exercise, eating right, and all these things, you can live in a utopia.
A lot of your art has practical connotations, the pedestals, the chairs.
Mm-hmm.
Do you like to try and find practical applications for your art?
Yes, I do. The reason being is, what cannot be art? Why would you have something in your house which is drab and not art? Because as you see, I've painted a vacuum cleaner, a television, chairs, floors, doors, socks, shoes. I've made artistic pedestals to put my sculptures on, and so there's really nothing that you cannot make into art. We visited the men's bathroom, and I've made the floor golden, and I've even painted a part of the toilet stool to be golden. So you can see that anything in your house can be art, and the question is, why shouldn't it be art?
Do you always work direct onto the canvas or onto the surface? Do you ever sketch anything out or create a plan?
On occasion, I do have plans. I usually sketch, if I need a character. With the internet now, you can get a lot of choices of different characters, so you can use the power of Google to have a wide variety of images. Like, let's say you wanted to do a painting on SpongeBob. Well, you can just Google SpongeBob and come up with a whole bunch of images so that your particular SpongeBob painting can be exactly what you want it to be. So in those instances, I do use some planning and do a little bit of sketching. A lot of the work, however, is just through practice and the realization that natural forms and the way nature and gravity cause the paint to get onto the canvas by throwing, spraying, tossing, flinging, dropping, whipping, pouring. All these different techniques involve gravity, and if you can use gravity and like the force of like throwing paint creates these certain patterns. And since these are all natural forces, the way that the paint gets onto the canvas then has a natural appeal to it. So the mind says, oh, I've seen that before. That's not discordant. That's something so it kind of recognizes it at a very base level.
And finally, last but not least, this exhibit, of course, will be up for a certain period of time. Will there be a permanent record of it in any way? Will you put up images on the internet? Do you have a web page?
I currently don't have a web page. I deal mainly through my Facebook. You can become my friend at Randall Kallinen, Kallinen. Then I'll keep you updated on all my different shows and my art stuff I have coming up. I try to keep things kind of simple. I will be getting a website in the near future. However, Facebook has proved to be, and some other methods have proved to be adequate for the moment.
That's all I have time for. Do you have anything else you want to say?
Well, I would encourage everybody to think about habits. The Buddhists say that control over habits is control over life, but it's something you need to be studied. Just merely thinking about changing a habit is not going to do it for you. There are better techniques, and so if you will study habit change, you will see that habits aren't that hard to break, and you can get rid of all your bad habits and develop a whole bunch of good habits, and let me tell you, you will feel good.